You're watching your local television network, TSPN, and now back to Love, Hope, and Faith with Heather Murdock.
Welcome back to Love, Hope, and Faith. We are at the final segment, and the story, it just can go on and on. I know there's so much more that you haven't shared with us, and thanks for being here today. And when we left off, you were talking about how the phone call from the friend who needed some advice and support, and then what happened after that?
You know, I stayed involved in the program there and program of recovery, and then was able to come home and visit family for the first time later that year, and decided after coming home and staying with family, this was down in Orange County, that I needed to move back to Orange County, and I did that. And I moved down to Orange County and was exploring churches, and I knew that I wanted to become a Christian, and I just didn't know how to go about that. And I was reading the Bible. I was reading the steps in the Bible together, and it's funny, I was training a client down there, and her and her husband, her husband's a pastor, a minister. He's a counselor, but he's a faith-based counselor, and they had told me that they knew someone that went to a church down there, and they wanted to introduce me, and so we actually, it was my wife, but we actually met at that church and kind of connected, met each other, but she was in a different spot, and I think she was still trying to figure some things out, and I was kind of, hey, whatever, and and we really didn't talk again for a few months, and then all of a sudden I had sent out a text in the morning to a number of different people. I used to send out inspirational texts, and for some reason, and I didn't realize I still had her number got included in my text, and I guess the night before she had been praying that I would contact her again because she felt like she was ready.
Yes.
And she got that message in the morning, and we went out to coffee on that following Friday, and we began to date, and my walk of recovery was instrumental in helping her to realize that she needed to take advantage of the opportunity that was being given to her. And I supported her while she dealt with her struggles. And when she got back from Arizona, I had been doing a rooted group at church, which was kind of a Bible foundational class. And at the end of the class, it culminated with a baptism. And I got baptized that night, and actually proposed to her right after the baptism. And we were married less than a year later, and
beautiful. We
moved up to Sacramento, and things have continued up here. I've been incredibly blessed. I share oftentimes at school, some of my story, and I share my faith openly. I share my faith with certain students that I have in the classes that I teach, the boot camp classes. I've had clients that been able to share some of their stories with me. I felt incredibly blessed in October to go back to Duffy's and speak there, to be their main speaker, and share with them my story, and share with the people who were sitting in the very place I was sitting 6.5 years ago. I shared with them what it's like to walk through this, and that you can walk through being homeless, and you can walk through being in and out of relationships, and you can walk through all this stuff. And you don't have to go back to where you were. No
matter where you've been, there's hope.
Absolutely. And that's what I needed.
Absolutely. And I hope the viewers can see, and I just love when I hear people's testimonies, and I can see the hand of God just working all throughout. I don't believe in coincidences, like with your wife, accidentally getting in the text, she prayed the night before. I mean, come on, that's totally God, and so he just intervenes in our life. And I love how he tells his story through our life story. You know what I'm saying? And his story of redemption, his story of healing, his story of hope, his story of transformation, and forgiveness, like you said, all that. And that's all evident in your story. It's so cool.
Well, and it's evident in our relationship. It's very difficult to take two broken people. And try to fit the pieces all together, especially when those two broken people have their hands on those pieces all the time, on each other's pieces. And and what we really need to realize is that if we can step back and allow Jesus to be the focus,
exactly,
that the pieces come together in an absolutely beautiful way.
Yes, exactly. And just like the Israelites from the beginning of the show, we can. It's like, I think sometimes we think that we shouldn't be afraid, and I think that sometimes we are afraid, but do it anyway. Do it in fear. Don't go back to Egypt. Don't go back to captivity, but go forward in the Lord. He's there. He's not ever going to leave you, or forsake you,
Absolutely.
So we don't have to go back to those addictions.
No.
So what do you believe about the 12 steps?
I think it's a fabulous way for people to connect with God. For me, it was a way to God, and without God, I never would have found my sobriety. And for me, the 12 steps and my relationship with God will always be connected and intertwined, because I wouldn't have one without the other. And my sobriety is connected in there as well, because without the 12 steps, I don't find a way to stay sober, because I don't find God. It's so interconnected, all three of them. And I don't go to meetings as often as I used to. When I get a chance to go back to Orange County, I immediately go to meetings down there, because I still know everyone. I'm not as well connected through those meetings here, but I do go to I do go to a men's Bible study. I've gone to Celebrate Recovery here. I go to a Bible study at our church. We happen to go to Metro Calvary and absolutely love it. And we're connected there as well. My wife's father is a pastor in Southern California, and he used to work with the pastor at Metro Calvary at Costa Mesa Calvary, under Pastor Chuck Smith. And, so there's connections there as well.
Yes,
and it's pretty amazing how God has really just woven together the fabric of our lives and the lives of those around us.
One thing I've always shared with people about Celebrate Recovery, I don't have experience with AA, but I'm assuming it's kind of the same. I view and I've experienced at Celebrate Recovery, by applying the 12 steps to our lives through Christ, is like a discipleship program. I mean, the majority of the people that come into our program, and like I said, it could be true for AA as well, I don't know, but they come through, they come out of it with a closer, more intimate relationship with God, and a way to apply His truths to everyday life. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, and really it's the principles behind the steps that people sometimes forget. I actually have those principles behind the 12 steps. Every step has a principle, things like brotherly love, integrity, justice, faith, hope. Those are all principles that sit directly behind the steps of any 12-step program, and they're biblical. And it's really a way to live our lives, through the spirituality, the relationship with God that we find as a result of the 12 steps allows us to take those principles out into the world and to serve others with those principles. Do I do it perfectly? Absolutely not. I still struggle with anger.
We're all works in progress.
But is it getting better? Do I continue to be more reliant upon God? Yes, every single day.
And don't you agree that sometimes it's like you fall into the pothole, but you stay there less, and they happen less often? So it's not like we're never going to make mistakes. I mean, we're not perfect, absolutely, and we have our hurts and those things, but through relationship with Christ and through applying these principles and steps, we stay there. It's like we don't get overwhelmed by them. We'll dip our foot in and go, oop, not going to go there, you know? So it's great. It's
I
awesome.
don't live in there anymore.
Exactly. You don't live in there. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's just fantastic. I love it. And your wife, too, with her victory over her eating disorder and now helping other people. And I love what you said, because what your sponsor told you about service and answering the phone, because service is what keeps us on the right track too. Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
I mean,
and there's so many times where I've had a bad week. I remember just a month and a half ago, I think I was just having a bad week, and my wife and I were having a bad week, and the phone rang, and I didn't know who it was, and I'm like, I'm not going to answer that. And it's just that little twinge, at the back, and it's just like I have to answer the phone. And it was someone asking if I could come and chair a meeting because they needed someone to speak.
It takes you outside of yourself, outside of your circumstance, and put your eyes on other people and on to God too.
Absolutely.
So it gets us out of ourselves. When we're stuck in our own head is when we're going to have the most problems. I think. I mean, I'm so grateful that it's not about me. You know, I learned that through my relationship with Jesus, that it's not about me, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to have to end you there because I want to plug something happening in our community I'm very excited about. But thank you again for being on my show today.
Of
Really
course,
appreciate
it's been my
it.
pleasure.
Yes,
Thank you.
great. Ladies, this is for you. I mentioned this on my last show, but if you live in the county or even outside the county, we'd love to have you. We are doing a conference here in Amador County at the County Administration Building on February 6th and 7th. That's Friday night, 6 to 9, and then Saturday, all day Saturday from 8:30 to 6:30. It's only $10, and we're going to be including lunch, and it's for the ladies. It's a women's conference for all ages, teenagers to great grandmas and anything in between. And it's an opportunity for us to gather women all across the county. Does not matter what denomination you are. Doesn't matter if you have big faith or your faith is barely holding on. We want you to come together in unity as sisters in Christ and pray together, seek God together, believe God together, and grow deeper in our relationship with God and each other. And it's going to be an awesome time. It's going to be an awesome time. If you want more information and would like to register, because it's actually filling up really quickly, we can seat about 120 women, and we have almost 50 registered now. So do not delay. You can go to If Gather. That's IF Gather. Or I'm sorry, If Amador County. And you can also go to ifgathering.com to check out what this whole thing is about. But it's If Amador County on Facebook. And or you can call me at 209-406-1202. I'll give you more information to register. And it's just going to be an amazing time. Again, unifying the body of Christ right here in our community for fellowship and going deeper with the Lord. So I hope you have a great week, and I will see you soon.